Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Feltham-Lauzon from ArcherPoint. I'm a solution architect on the solution of Boltrics WMS. So today we're going to talk about the status steps, essentially. Um, so I'm sure that you guys have already seen the status steps over here in the fact box. What these are essentially is that they are automations which are triggered when we click one of these steps. And so let me just explain a bit. If I go on the status template, right? Previously in the previous video, we looked at the processes, right? So these are the functions or the automations which are triggered when we change a status. And now and that there's a second set of automations that can be triggered, and these can be triggered by the click of a step. A step, what it is, that it is all the tasks that need to be accomplished when we are at a specific status so that we can move to the next one, right? So as you can see, when we're at the status 50 received, I can have two steps to accomplish. But when I'm at the status unloaded, right, I have nothing configured over here. So I can have no steps to accomplish. So no tasks to accomplish on the administrative front. If I open this, right, you can see that I've got different step codes, right? So over here, I can send the overage, shortage, and damage email, or I can also have it, be used as a checklist, right? So have you checked the services? Have you checked the, that there was no issues, right? And so on and so forth. So you can use it as an automation tool or as a checklist essentially. And over here, if I go in the steps, right? So let me just navigate to the open full list over here. So you see over here, we've got a bit of the same thing, right? So as the statuses. So on each step, we can associate a function. So if I click on the function, here I have, when I click on OSD email, right, it will trigger an email, right, that I will be able to review and send to the customer. This email is going to use the email template OSD, right? And it's going to be, just creating the email based on the template. So if I come back in my receipt, I see my sent over shortage damage email, right? I'm at the status 50 received. And if I click here, boom, I've got an email which is generated with the associated email template, which actually takes the information from my document. So in this context, from my warehouse receiving document. Okay. I can also use this as a checklist. So for example, the checked services step has no function associated to it. So I can click, as I click on it, right, I'm saying that this task has been completed. Every time that I click on a step, what it does is that it also logs, right, the status or the step click into the status log over here. So this status log keeps track of the old status and the new status, right? So the different status changes, but also keeps track of all the tasks that were accomplished in that during that status. So in this context, I can see that the check services was clicked twice, right, at this time and that time, and the OSD email the same thing. All right. Um, so now if I come back to my step, right, so that's a bit about how it works off of the document. If I come back to my steps, right, the same thing as we have on the status functions, we have it here. So we can attach some different library functions. So for example, on the OSD email, right, I could say that the first step is to send an email. The first automation is to send an email, right? So I could change the sequence, for example, to 10 as the first step in the automation. And then I could say that the second step in the automation, right, is another automation. And the second, yeah, step, or the second automation step is another automation completely. So it could be that we link some documents. It can be that, we calculate the cost and revenue. It can be all sorts of things over here. Okay. So we can have multiple functions or multiple automations per step. And for creating a step, it's not very complicated. You click on new, right? You can say check damages, right? Check damages, right? And if I have no functions associated to it, there's going to be no automations completed. If I do have a function associated to it, and I add this like this, right? So whatever it is that I want to put, right? Well, then there will be a function that will be triggered. Okay, so this is really interesting for a lot of our different customers. And then you see on this step, right, 50 received, I could decide to create, so assign the check damages over here, and then I could initialize it on the existing documents. If I come back here, for example, now I see that I've got check damages as a task in my checklist. So if I click on it, right, it will say that it's completed. Now I can also see that it was logged in the status log. All right, so thank you very much. And this is really, we've looked at the statuses, the sequences, how we can generate some different automations through a status change, and how we can generate different automations through a step click. So stay tuned for the rest of some videos.